Hey guys, what's going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys. Today is the Tenyi Swordsoul combo guide. With the new deck having recently come out, I figured it was pretty important to show off exactly how all the combos of this deck worked. Now, I was honestly a little intimidated when I realized that Swordsouls were coming out much sooner than I anticipated, because I was like, oh no, I haven't done nearly as much research as I need to have. So that's when I got on Edo Pro, like you saw in the Swordsoul Basics video that I did, and I spent like probably far too much time, honestly, just throwing back hands and practicing combos to make sure that I could not only play the deck well on turn one, but also make this video more efficiently for you guys. So, but fortunately, Swordsouls are actually not that complicated of a combo deck. The lines are pretty self-explanatory for the most part. With the Tenyis, it can be a little tricky sometimes to know like when you should use like Ashuna's effect, for example, because one important thing you're going to want to remember for our combos with Tenyi Swordsoul specifically is that Ashuna is, if we use that effect to summon a Tenyi from the deck, that's going to lock us into only summoning Wyrms for the rest of the turn. Now that's actually not that big of a deal. I think the only extra monsters we really miss out on are what, Crimson Blader, which we never make on turn one anyway. Omega and Dragite are good to make on turn one, but and then of course Baron is the big one that you miss out on. But honestly, it's really not that big of a deal for the most part. Even if we have to end on like, you know, Qizhou plus Cheng Ying on turn one, that's still a really good turn one to have. But yeah, so it is important to know, like I said, when to Ashuna and when not to, which is part of the reason I wanted to make this combo guide for you. Now, even if you're not playing the Tenyi variant, if you're playing the Sword or the pure Swordsoul variant, or maybe some other like you know, more niche variant of Swordsouls that's not using Tenyis, we're still going to start off by going over some very basic Swordsoul combos. I did cover these in my, well, again, Swordsoul Basics video, so you can check that out as well if you wanted to, but I'll cover them here at the beginning of this video just to, you know, so we have a complete combo guide here, right? So this is the list that I'm currently using at the time of recording this, that I've been testing with on ladder, and also done like theory crafting with before the packs came out on Master Duel, before the pack rather came out on Master Duel. And like I said, this is going to be the list that we're going to be showing example hands with, or showing these example combos with rather. Now, if you are playing some slightly other tech options, there are other combo lines you can do. Particularly if you're playing Haliqfibrax and Auroradon, there is a combo line you can do there. I'll go over the combo line at the end of the video, but I haven't actually crafted an Auroradon yet myself, so I've not played with that variant, of course, since I don't have Auroradon. I've not played with that variant yet myself. I might still try it out, but we'll still go over the combo line. I'll just have to do it like without the visual representation. Okay, so yep, without further ado, let's just go ahead and start taking a look at these combos with Swordsouls. Okay, so this first combo we're going to show you is like the most basic of the most basic, right? This is going to be what you can do with Swordsoul of Mo Ye and any Swordsoul or Wyrm card. Now, as always with the combo video, even though we opened, since we opened Vessel the Dragon Cycle, we do have other plays with this hand, but for the sake of just showing off the combo itself, I will not be including that in this combo in particular. So, we'll lead with the Emergence for the Mo Ye, and then we will, of course, lead by summoning the Mo Ye. You're going to want to start with Mo Ye. We'll activate the optional effect here, and we're going to reveal the only Swordsoul card in our hand, which is Blackout. Now, you do actually want to be mindful of what you reveal with Mo Ye, because if I had, for example, like the Longyuan in hand in addition to the Blackout, I definitely would want to reveal the Longyuan and not the Blackout, because I'd probably be planning on setting the Blackout, and I don't want to give it away to my opponent that I've got it if I don't have to. Now, in this scenario, it's the only other Swordsoul or Wyrm card in our hand, so we will, of course, go ahead and reveal it. We're going to be able to get the Swordsoul token out now, and then we can special summon the Qizhou. Is always going to be the first level 8 you want to go into. So we'll go ahead and do the token and the Mo Ye, and synchro summon Qizhou in attack mode. Now, both Qizhou and Mo Ye's optional effects are going to trigger at the same time. If you've watched any amount of my, pretty much any amount of my, Try-Zoo or Prank Kids, you know I talk a lot about chain blocking. So what is chain blocking? For those who don't know, chain blocking is setting up your effects in a chain link so that the effect you want to resolve is behind the effects you care a little bit less about. That way, if your opponent's got like an Ash or something, they'll hit the Mo Ye, not the Chi-Zao. With chain links, it's first in, last out. The first effect you click is going to be the last one to resolve, so we'll click Chi-Zao first, and then Mo Ye. And then now, as you can see, the Chi-Zao is behind the Mo Ye. So if my opponent had Nash here, again, well, I'd just Crossout Designator it probably, but again, they would only be able to negate the Mo Ye draw and not the Chi-Zao search. So we'll draw another Mo Ye. It doesn't matter what we draw here. I mean, it's nice if we draw other combo pieces, but for the sake of this simple combo, it doesn't matter what card we draw here. We're going to go ahead and search the Longyuan here with the Chi-Zao. You could search Emergence. I'm not going to do it because obviously I already activated it this turn in order to get the Mo Ye. So we're going to go ahead and activate the Longyuan now. And now let's assume that the card we drew wasn't even a Swordsoul or a Wyrm, and Blackout is still the only Swordsoul or Wyrm card in our hand. We can just go ahead and discard that same card in order to special summon the Longyuan here. And then, of course, we also get our Swordsoul token as well. So we can go ahead and synchro summon here using the token and the Longyuan in order to go into Baron de Fleur. And then we get to also burn our opponent for 1200 because, hey, why not? So there it is. There is the basic, very, very most basic combo right there. Literally just Mo Ye and any other Swordsoul or Tenyi card, Swordsoul or Wyrm card. Can get you a Chi-Zao and a Baron on turn 1, which is very, very nice. That is a quick effect, a monster negate during your opponent's turn, as well as an Omni negate as well. And then, of course, that doesn't even factor in, we have 3 cards in our hand, and the additional card we draw with Mo Ye, you get advantage, you get more disruption. It's just very, very good. And that's, again, this is the most basic line. Oh, I love this deck. All right, let's look at another combo here. Okay, so this next combo we're going to show off here is another Swordsoul, like just general combo. So even if you're not playing the Tenyi variant, you can still do this combo. So this is an interesting setup for this combo. You need 3 cards for it. It can be any 3-card combination of Mo Ye, Longyuan, Taia, Swordsoul Emergence, and Swordsoul Sacred Summit. As long as you open any 3 of those 5 cards, you can make basically our standard Mo Ye play plus an extra level 8 synchro. So here's how we do that. We're once again going to lead by summoning our Mo Ye and activating the optional effect here. We're going to reveal the Longyuan here. It doesn't really matter which one of these 2 reveal in this case because we're going to end up using both of them. Special our token right over here. Then we can go ahead and synchro summon into, of course, Chi-Zao first, as always. Go ahead and use the token and the Mo Ye here and put Chi-Zao right over there. Now, once again, just like last time, we're going to chain block the effects here, doing Chi-Zao first and then Mo Ye second. Remember, first in, last out. Alright, so the Mo Ye is going to resolve, draw us a card here. Yeah, we drew another Longyuan, not really that great, but yeah, whatever. Also, I did change the number of copies slightly here, so that I'd be more likely to open this combo. So normally I only play 1 Summit and 2 Taia, but I wanted to show this hand off in a reasonable amount of time, so I just threw in some extra copies for the sake of showing it. I'm specifically going to add Sacred Summit here. Now, if you didn't already open Sacred Summit, to do this combo, you're going to have to add it here. So if you opened Mo Ye, Longyuan, and Taia, don't add Emergence here. Add the Summit. Just if you don't have it, add the Summit here. If you do already have the Summit, then you can go ahead and add Emergence. But like I mentioned here, we're going to add the Sacred Summit. Now I'm going to go ahead and activate the Emergence to add the Taia. If you already had the Taia, you wouldn't have to do this, but we're going to go ahead and get the Taia into our hand because we're going to want to discard the Taia for the Longyuan's effect here. And you can probably already see where this is going, right? Of course, we're going to use the Longyuan and summon the token. We're going to get a Baron out. And now that we have the Taia set up in our graveyard, we can go ahead and use the Sacred Summit here in a moment as well. Like I said, these combo lines are fairly self-explanatory if you read the cards. It's nothing too tricky like you normally see with Synchro decks. Like, this is definitely not like on the level of Synchron as far as having to memorize different paths and different lines and all that fun stuff. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and activate the Sacred Summit here. Like I mentioned, we're going to bring back our Taia. And I'll just go ahead and get back in defense mode, sure. And I'll activate Taia's effect. And now we can go into any level 8, any level 7, 8, or 9 Synchro here, actually. Because if we want to banish one of our spells, we can actually get the level adjustment. In a vacuum going first, I typically just go for level 8, and I usually just go for Dragite. Sometimes, if I can, I'll go for like a Chaofeng setup instead, but we'll get into that in a bit. And then you might also want to go into Cyframe Lord Omega. Is not a bad option turn 1, but I find Dragite to be the better option. If you are going to make Dragite, definitely don't banish the Mo Ye, because that's going to be how we turn on our Dragite spell trap negation effect. So we're going to discard Longyuan here in this scenario. Get our token, and now we can perform a Synchro Summon. And like I said, we can go for any of the level 8s. I'm going to go for Dragite, is typically what I do going first. And I don't know what my opponent is playing, which again is obviously going to be the case on Ranked Ladder here. So, and then of course we also get the Taia's effect to foolish any of the Wyrms we want here. So yeah, we could set up like an Ashuna. We could just do that. Sure, anyone you want really. So, but that's basically the 3-card combo there. Gets you the same setup Mo Ye does with Chizao and Baron, and then you also get another level 7, 8, or 9 Synchro Monster, your choice. And again, we didn't use any Tenyi cards there. You can do that in pure Swordsoul or any Swordsoul variant. Alright, now let's go ahead and take a look at some more combos that are specific to the Tenyi build. Alrighty, so with this combo line, we're going to look at some more Tenyi specific plays. I'm going to show you what you can do with Ashuna, plus either Adhara or Vishuda. I was actually about to say any 2 Tenyi monsters, but I don't think this actually works with Ashuna and Vishuda, just by themselves. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start by activating Ashuna's effect to special summon itself, because we control no effect monsters. We'll summon it right over here. And now we can go ahead and link away the Ashuna for a Monk of the Tenyi, like so. We'll put that right over there. Now, since we once again control no effect monsters, we can go ahead and summon our Adhara here. If you summoned, or if you opened Vishuda with Ashuna instead, you would summon Vishuda here. Alright, and then since we control a non-effect monster, we can actually go ahead and banish the Ashuna from our graveyard in order to summon the Vishuda. Now, note that at this point we are locked into only Wyrm monsters for the rest of the turn, so do keep that in mind here. And again, if you had Vishuda, then you would summon the Adhara here with the Ashuna. So, now we have enough to go into a level 8 Synchro. We can use Adhara and Vishuda, like so. We'll put the Chizao right over here. As always, Chizao is going to be the first level 8 we go into in order to get some searches here. Don't have an effect to chain block with this time, but that's alright. Here we can go ahead and add... You can add Emergence, is actually kind of better. We'll just go ahead and do that. We'll just go ahead and add Emergence. I was going to say you could add Emergence, or you could just straight up add the Longyuan, but we'll just go ahead and just add the Emergence here and activate the effect. To add, yep, the Longyuan here. Now, we have a Swordsoul Sacred Summit as well if we wanted to discard that with Longyuan, but let's assume this was like another, like a hand trap. Let's just say it's like an Ash or something. We can actually still summon this by go ahead and activating the Adhara's effect here. We can banish it from grave because we control a non-effect monster, and then we can wheel the Ashuna back to our hand. Now that the Ashuna is back in our hand, we can go ahead and activate the Longyuan's effect, discarding the Ashuna we just added. Not even bad to do that, because you can still use that next turn from your graveyard as well, so that's really nice. And of course, we're going to summon our Swordsoul token as well. Now, remember, we are locked into Wyrms, so we cannot go into Baron here. We have to go into Changying, but that is still totally fine. Alright, so that, and then of course also we get the 1200 burn damage as well. And another little boost for the Changying, or not another, but rather we get a little boost for the Changying as well. So, this sets up the Chizao to negate an effect by banishing a card, and then when we banish a card, by using Chizao's effect, we also get to banish a card from each of our opponent's field and graveyard. So not quite as good as Baron, but still a fine setup. And again, we achieve this with Tenyi, Spirit, Ashuna, and either Adhara or Vishuda. Again, if you open Adhara and Vishuda, you can still make plays, but you can't get this combo specifically. I believe you do need to open the Ashuna there, so. Alright, let's go ahead and look at the next one. Okay, so another line I wanted to show you with the Tenyis is how we can actually go into the Zing card Chaofeng in our extra deck on turn 1. I'll go ahead and show you here. Yep, Chaofeng, how we can go into this card on turn 1. There's actually a couple different ways to do it, but they pretty much all just involve opening Adhara and then some amount of other, you know, combo plays here. So, alright, let's go ahead and start by using the Ashuna here. So for this example, yeah, we'll use Adhara, Ashuna, and then Emergence, just, again, to be clear about that. So, yeah, like I said, we're going to start by summoning Ashuna here. Since we control no effect monsters, we can go ahead and do that. We're then going to go ahead and send the Ashuna for a Monk of the Tenyi. You're starting to see with these Tenyi combo lines just why Monk is so good. Like, it looks like really bad on paper. Like, why would you want to run a vanilla Link 1? But it actually turns on all the Tenyi effects, so that's really nice. Oh, of course, we're going to want to activate the Adhara, since we control no effect monsters. And then now we can go ahead and use Ashuna to summon the Vishuda from our deck. And note, as always, that we are locked into Wyrm plays moving forward because of that. Alright, let's go ahead and summon the... Let's see here. There's actually a couple of different ways we can do this. I'm going to do this like so. I'm actually going to go into Baxia. I know I said we pretty much always go into Qizao first, but when making Chaofeng like this in particular, we can actually go into the card I just said, Baxia first instead. So, yep. Let's go ahead and summon Baxia here. Now, you do want to activate the effect, but do not activate this optional effect. This optional effect it's asking you to activate is the one that shuffles cards back in the deck. So if it's turn 1, definitely don't activate this. We will then go ahead and activate the other effect here. And we can send... Oh, you know what? Hang on. Oh, shoot. No, sorry, this is fine. Okay, I'm sorry, I thought I screwed up here. No, we're good. Alright. Yeah, let's go ahead and get the Adhara here. And then now we can Synchro Summon into good old Chaofeng. But we're not just done, you know, just yet. We can definitely do better than that, right? Right, of course we can do better than that. This is where our Emergence comes in. Now, we're going to use the Emergence to go ahead and add a Taia here. I could actually add a Mo Ye because I have an Ashuna and a Blackout in hand, but let's just assume these are like random non-Tenyi, non-Wyrm cards, right? We're just going to go ahead and normal summon our Taia here, activate Taia's effect, and let's see, let's go ahead and banish, doesn't really matter all that much, I mean, obviously as long as you don't banish Adhara, and you don't want to banish Vishuda really either, we can just banish Monk of the Tenyi, that's fine. And then we get our Wyrm token. Now, this is important, while you have your token on the board, we want to activate Adhara's effect. Again, this is assuming that these are two, like, quote-unquote dead cards. Like, let's just assume these are not a Wyrm or Swordsoul cards. We'll go ahead and wheel the Ashuna back. We want to do that while the token's on board because you have to control a non-effect monster in order to use Adhara's effect. So, now we can go ahead and Synchro Summon into Qizao. And some of you might have already been able to see where this is going here, why we wheeled the Ashuna back at specifically that time. So, once again, going to chain block the Qizao here, using Taia's effect this time. It doesn't matter at all what we send with Taia here. It could be literally anything. I'll sure send the other Vishuda, why not? Now we're going to use Qizao to add Longyuan. And that's why we wheeled the Ashuna back to our hand. Now we can use the Longyuan, pitch that Ashuna we wheeled, go ahead and summon that, and summon the Swordsoul token as well. Now, remember that because we used Ashuna, I always mixed up. I always want to say Ashuda, like I want to combine Ashuna and Adhara's names. But yeah, we are locked into Wyrms because of Ashuna here, but that's still fine. We can just go ahead and go into Changying here. And then, as always, we'll go ahead and get our random 1200 burn damage in. So that is a nice way to show one of the ways that you can combo into the turn 1 Chaofeng. And in this case, we get it alongside the Qizao in the Changying. So, yeah, neat. Alright, let's go ahead and look at the next combo line. Okay, so this next combo line is going to be used with any Tenyi monster and then Vessel for the Dragon Cycle. It's probably pretty apparent already, but this is more or less the same combo line as opening Ashuna plus any Tenyi monster. So, we're going to go ahead and start by activating the effect of our Tenyi monster. In our case here, it is Adhara. And we're going to go ahead and special that. Now we can send the Adhara in order to summon good old Monk of the Tenyi. Alright, and now we can activate our Vessel for the Dragon cycle, and because we control a face-up non-effect monster, we get to not only send a Wyrm from deck to grave, but also add one, a Tenyi monster as well. So the Wyrm we're going to send, in our case, is going to be, where are you, Ashuna? And then we will go ahead and add the Vishuda. Alright, now since we only control a monk, since we still control no effect monsters, we can go ahead and special summon this Vishuda from our hand. Right over here, and because we control an effect monster, we can also use Ashuna's effect in order to summon the Adhara from our deck. Note, as always, that we are now locked into Wyrms for the turn as a result of doing that. Always pays to be mindful of that. So from here on out, I mean, it's more or less the same combo line that we did before, right? We're going to go ahead and sync the Adhara and the Vishuda into a Chi Zhao. And now we get to activate our Chi Zhao's effect. We'll go ahead and add, sure, just the Emergence here. And now, because we, again, control a face-up non-effect monster, we can banish the Adhara and wheel the Ashuna back to our hand. Alright, let's go ahead and activate that Emergence that we searched in order to add the Longyuan to our hand. And now we can... Oop, no, don't tribute summon. Definitely don't want to tribute summon it. Although, interesting to note that we actually have not used our normal summon with this hand. So if you actually opened a Taia in addition to this combo line, you could even... Or like a Mo Ye, if you have another Swordsoul or Wyrm card to reveal, you can actually continue to combo even after this. But then, yep, as aforementioned in the last combo, we then finish off by going into Chang Ying. And then, of course, we get our random 1200 burns. So, yeah, it's more or less the same as opening Ashuna plus any Tenyi, but the setup is a little bit different because you use the Vessel instead. But, you just want to show off that other Tenyi combo there. Alright, let's look at the next one. Okay, so I know I mentioned earlier that, Adhara and Vishuda by themselves actually don't, really form a combo. But if you throw in any Swordsoul or Wyrm card, you actually do get to make some plays there. It's like basically going to be the same thing as your basic Mo Ye line, but you kind of have to go into it in a weird way because of, how you open. So it's very, very simple. Let's go ahead and show it off here. We're going to start by specialing the Vishuda specifically. Right over here. And like normally we would go into Monk of the Tenyi here, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to go ahead and normal summon our Adhara. And now we can go into a level 8 Synchro. Let's go ahead and just make Chi Zhao here. And we'll just throw Chi Zhao right over there. And now we get Chi Zhao's search. And again, this line is very, very simple. You can already see where it's going, right? We're going to add the Longyuan to our hand. And then activate the effects, sending our Swordsoul or Wyrm card, summoning it in defense mode right over here. We're going to get our token as well. And then now we can sync into Baron because we didn't use Ashuna specifically, we aren't actually locked into our line here. So, yeah, we go ahead and summon Baron out, and then we burn our opponent for 1200 because, as always, why not? We can. And that's pretty much it. I mean, again, that's a very simple combo line, but I did want to illustrate that you don't always have to open Ashuna specifically in order to make plays. Even if we do open, like, Adhara plus Vishuda by themselves, I mean, that's still a level 8 Synchro. Like, at the very worst, it's still a Chi Zhao summon, and if you have nothing else in hand, you can still search a Blackout. That's still a negate, and then also 2 destructions on your opponent's turn. Which, I mean, we can do better, but that's still really good disruption for even such a basic combo. So, I wanted to point out that the Tenyis are capable of doing stuff without even opening Ashuna. Because it does seem like if you, read some combo guides, like, oh, do I always have to have Ashuna to make Tenyi plays? No, you don't. Alright, I'm just going to show off now the Haliqfibrax Line. Again, I'm going to show that, in the deck editor by talking the plays through, which I know is not ideal, but we'll go ahead and see that anyway. Just so I can show it off. Okay, so you might have noticed now that my build is inflated a bit. My extra deck is above 15 and my main deck's at 41. That's because I added the cards necessary to show off this combo line. Again, I'm not actually able to show it off because I've yet to craft an Auroradon at this time. I know I could just craft one right now but I don't know. I don't want to craft an ultra rare just for the sake of showing like one combo in a combo guide. And I still am not sure if I'm going to go into this deck, this build yet at this time. So I'm holding off for the time being, but I can still walk you through the combo here. So this combo line is done with really any way of getting Haliqfibrax at all. As long as you can summon a tuner and a two monsters and one of them is a tuner. As long as you can make Halq, you can do this play. So let's assume that we open something really weird. I don't know. Let's say we open like Vishuda and Ghost Belle. Why not? And like that's all we have. If you're playing the Halq deck, that actually is a combo. How is this, you ask? Well, first we activate the effect of Vishuda to special summon itself, and then we go ahead and normal summon our Ghost Belle. Again, we just get our two monsters, including a tuner, out on the board. That's all we have to do. Then we go into Haliqfibrax, using those two summoned monsters. Now we use Haliqfibrax's effect to summon a Deskbot 001. From that point, we can go ahead and link the two of them into Auroradon. Auroradon is then going to special summon these 3 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens to the board. Now, because multiple machine monsters are special summoned at the same time, we can then go ahead and bring the Deskbot 01 back to our field from the graveyard. We then go ahead and special summon the Yazi, Evil of the Yang Zing, using Deskbot and 2 of the tokens. And then after that, we're going to use Auroradon's second effect here, right? Is it, hang on, I just have to refer to my notes here just to make sure. Yes, the second effect. You tribute itself and only itself in order to destroy a card on the field. We're actually going to use that to go ahead and pop our Yazi, which sounds kind of weird, but remember it's turn 1, so our opponent doesn't have a card on board for us to pop our Yazi with its own effect. So we're going to use Auroradon's effect, sack itself, to pop the Yazi. With Yazi's effect, we then get to summon a Swordsoul of Taia from the deck. We can then use Taia's effects to banish, the Vishuda or whatever from our graveyard. And then you get your token. From there, you sink into Chi Zhao. From there, Chi Zhao's effect activates in order to search the Longyuan. And then we'll use the Taia specifically to send Adhara to the graveyard. From there, we can banish the Adhara to wheel the Vishuda back into our hand, pitch Vishuda for a Longyuan, and then we can go ahead and special summon a Baron. And then, of course, we get our random burn as well. The reason that works, by the way, you might be wondering, like, wait, where's your normal monster in order to use Adhara's effect? Well, that's why we use Auroradon to sacrifice specifically itself for the first effect, or for technically the second effect here, but for this first bullet point effect, because by doing that, we leave 1 token on the board. Remember, we synced the Deskbot 01 and 2 of the tokens for the Yazi, but that also leaves 1 token still on our board. So that's why it's crucial for Auroradon to sack itself. So the end result there is a Chi Zhao and a Baron, which, that's pretty much what we get with a Mo Ye basic combo, but it is nice to be able to go into the play so easily there. That is definitely the advantage of using Crystalline, Haliqfibrax, and Auroradon. Again, I just personally don't feel the need to add that to my deck just yet, but there is a chance that later down the line, if it proves to be the most prevalent or powerful build, then I'll go ahead and try it out. Let's go ahead and put our build back to normal there and end out this video. Yeah, so that's, well, I don't know. I'll still probably separate it by chapters here. I guess I don't need to actually make a cut, but yeah, I hope you guys found this information useful. I tried to show off some of the more common combos, as well as some alternative lines. Again, that just showed off what may look like a kind of bricky hand, particularly with that last one with Adhara and Vishuda. Like I said, I wanted to show off what you could do with a hand that looked a bit more dead like that. So yeah, like I said, I hope you guys found this helpful. As always, I will be linking this video in future gameplay videos with Swordsoul Tenyi in addition to the profile, so that you guys can access this information more easily. Yeah, so as always, I want to thank everybody for watching, especially if you watched all the way through, like, the whole video to the very end. That's kind of especially impressive for a video like this, because, you know, this is more intended to be like a reference thing where you just kind of like look at the chapters. So if you actually still watched all the way through, that's super awesome, and I really, really do appreciate that. I'm also especially appreciative if you are commenting and or subscribing. I love hearing feedback from you guys. If you want to comment other combo lines that I didn't discuss here, just try to keep it like 2 or 3 combos. Like, obviously, if it's a 4-card combo, then it's like, well, then you just have like a nuts hand. But yeah, if there are other 2 or 3 card combo lines that I didn't touch on that you want to share, feel free to do so in the comments. As I'm all about educating in general, it doesn't only have to come from me. I mean, hell, you guys have educated me enough that I know generally that you guys know what you're talking about. So, yeah, without further ado, this is Xlex signing out, and I hope you have a fantastic day.